Ever since Chinese President Xi Jinping visited Egypt in 2016 and pledged $20 billion in loans, China has been heavily investing in the nation. China has funded several projects, including the world's biggest tilapia fish farm located at Lake Nasser. The farm was created by Chinese companies, and it has employed Egyptian laborers. China is helping Egypt's economy in many ways, and the tilapia fish farm is just one of them. Eaten often, fish is a staple food in Egypt. To put that in perspective, China imports around $1.6 billion worth of seafood annually, making it the world's largest importer of fish. On the other hand, Egypt has started a project to construct the biggest tilapia fish farm in the world so that it may become more self-sufficient. China's government provided the financial backing, while Chinese companies did the actual construction. The initiative is a subset of a bigger strategy to assist Egypt in expanding its agricultural and fisheries sector. The first fish were collected from the farm in December 2016, so things are looking well thus far. The aquaculture industry in Egypt is expanding. Egypt's fish farming business is a young one, having just been established in the early 1990s. As a result of government encouragement, fish farming has spread to all 27 of Egypt's provinces. Egypt's temperature and geology make it an ideal location for aquaculture. Fish may be farmed all year round due to the warm weather and plentiful water from the Nile River. Because of this, the sector has seen significant growth in recent years. The country of Egypt is home to around 200 fish farms, many of which raise commercially important fish, including tilapia, catfish, and bass. More than 15,000 people are employed by the sector, and it generates an estimated $1.5 billion in revenue yearly. Although the Egyptian economy has been weak for quite some time, but recent advances in the country's fish farming business have given the economy a welcome boost. Diversifying Egypt's economy, the fish farming business is also providing Egyptians with a good source of income. And besides contributing to economic diversification, the sector is also providing Egyptians with new employment opportunities. With time, the Egyptian economy will benefit greatly from the expansion of its fish farming sector. Concerns about the availability of food are crucial in a nation where 60% of the population is poor. Finding enough fresh water to sustain agriculture is a perennial concern in a nation where more than 90% of the land is desert. As a result, the Egyptian government leaped at the opportunity when China offered to construct the biggest tilapia fish farm in Egypt. The farm, which can produce up to 70,000 metric tons of fish annually, cost $30 million to construct. That's sufficient to satisfy Egypt's current yearly demand for tilapia, which is about 50,000 tons. In only 18 months, the project was finished and is already helping the local economy by creating new employment. In Egypt, tilapia culture dates back to the dawn of written history. The first studies of aquaculture didn't emerge until the 1930s, and it wasn't until the late 1950s that commercial tilapia farming really got off the ground. Only Nile tilapia is farmed in Egypt. Other tilapia species, such as blue tilapia and hybrid tilapia, are seldom cultivated there. The tilapia industry has been growing steadily since the 1990s, with an average annual growth rate of over 16% in the previous decade. As a consequence, Egypt raised its farm tilapia output from 258,925 metric tons in 2006 to 875,513 metric tons in 2015, accounting for over 75% of the country's entire national aquaculture output. Along with this, Egypt accounted for 81% of Africa's total tilapia output in 2015. Egypt is now the world's third largest tilapia producer, only behind China and Indonesia. What are the reasons for Egypt's successes in the aquaculture sector? What methods are being used to increase production? There are several elements, including but not limited to extensive cumulative training and effort. The great majority of tilapia is produced by private firms, the vast majority of which are small-scale farms. Cage culture and semi-intensive systems are the most common agricultural technologies and setups found in Egypt. There is now enough supply of high-quality commercial feeds because of the government's support and commitment. Along with this, the environmental and climatic conditions also promote growth and development. Both semi-intensive methods using earthen ponds and intensive methods using cages, ponds, and concrete tanks, sometimes in conjunction with terrestrial crops, are used to raise Nile tilapia. Tilapia monoculture and polyculture with carp and mullets are both widespread in the semi-intensive production method. The technique of fertilizing tilapia ponds with organic and inorganic fertilizers is widespread, but it is on the decline as more and more farmers rely on commercial tilapia diets instead. Crude protein content ranges from 25% to 30% in both floating and sinking pellets. Farm tilapia are typically fed by manual feeding or demand feeders, based on factors such as initial fish size, stocking densities, water quality, feed and feeding management, and the cycle length. The total yields of the fish may vary. Nile tilapia is also routinely farmed in large numbers in floating cages for intensive aquaculture. Stocking densities of 60 to 100 fish per cubic meter are normal. These mobile cages produce 25 to 40 kilograms of fish per cubic meter. Slowly but surely, the practice of raising tilapia intensively in ponds, tanks, and recirculating systems is catching on in Egypt. Aeration and processed feeds are supplied to the ponds and tanks. In only 5 to 8 months, these fish may reach weights of 200 to 300 grams, producing a harvest of 15 to 20 metric tons, which is very amazing. Along with this, the practice of raising tilapia alongside other land crops like rice and wheat is also gaining popularity. The private sector in Egypt is responsible for cultivating tilapia utilizing primitive farming methods. However, tilapia production is mostly driven by small farmers, many of whom are either completely uneducated or have just a secondary level of schooling. Through trial and error, these farmers have amassed a wealth of knowledge that they can now employ effectively. But the world is not always sunshine and rainbows. Despite all the positive aspects, there are some obstacles faced by the Egyptian aquaculture industry. When looking at the situation of aquaculture in Africa as a whole, and tilapia culture in particular, the following challenges become clear, such as a lack of consistent seed supply. In Africa, commercial hatcheries are few. The bulk of tilapia seed stock produced is of poor quality and quantity, and many of the fish exhibit genetic defects due to inbreeding. There is also a scarcity of both affordable and easily available high-quality feeds. Farmers growing tilapia in Africa rely significantly on on-site aqua feeds, the majority of which are of poor quality and are often manufactured inefficiently. This is because most farmers cannot afford or get high-quality feeds that are professionally made or imported. There is also an inadequate transportation and storage system. The new tilapia mega farms are the key to solving all of Egypt's problems. This will not only help to meet the demand for fish in Egypt, but will also create jobs and boost the local economy. Also, the newest technologies used in these farms have a less harmful effect on the environment as compared to traditional farms. In recent years, China has also been investing heavily in Egypt, with plans to build a new $45 billion industrial zone near the Suez Canal. China has many motives to construct the world's biggest tilapia fish farm in Egypt. There is no doubt that the Chinese government is committed to fostering economic and infrastructural development. The fish farms also supply essential protein to the expanding population. China's dedication to strengthening ties with Egypt is on display nowadays because of funding these recent projects.